Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Conquer the Course webinar for Ironman 70.3 Washington Tri-Cities. We are glad you're here. I apologize for the miscommunication with the time zones in the initial email. We do a lot of emails here at Ironman, and a lot of them are East Coast based, so that's where that came from. So I apologize. This will be recorded, so even if you're not able to make it, which you are if you're listening to me right now, you will receive a recording. Everyone will receive a recording. Couple housekeeping items to ask questions. Just use the Q&A button at the top. We will be answering them both in the background and live, depending on the question and time. And if it's a question that's very specific to you, it probably won't get answered. But if it's one that applies to everyone, it will. Couple other things. We are 90. What are we? Well, we are Washington. We are almost sold out of this race. I think most of you are registered, but it's going to be sold out in the next couple weeks. So if you're not registered, if you have friends who want to register, get them signed up ASAP. And then, yeah, that's about it for me. So today we have Brian Mays, who is the race director for Ironman 70.3 Washington, as well as another racer too, and Juliet Hochman, who is an athlete herself, as well as an established coach. So I'm going to hand it over to Brian to do a little more of an introduction to himself, and then we'll get started.
Hey everybody, Brian Mays here, the race director for 70.3 Tri-Cities. I'm super excited. This race has a spectacular footprint for it to be a dynamic race, not only for this year, but for many years to come. The road surface is great, bike course is great, swim is spectacular, super flat run course as well. Can't wait to unfold it for all of you to see firsthand come race weekend. It's going to be a safety event. I look forward to that as well. And I'm lucky to have Juliet to present all the good info, and I look forward to seeing everybody in September.
Awesome. All right, so I'm going to take over from here. My name is Juliet Hochman, and I'm going to bring my presentation up. Just one moment. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. Here we go. All right, I can't see any of you, so I'm hoping that this is coming through loud and clear. I'm just going to look at my text really quickly to make sure from Meg that everything is working as it should, and you can see my presentation on the screen. All right, perfect. All right, great. So Tri-Cities, super exciting, brand new race here in the Pacific Northwest. For those of you who are local, it's always great to add one more race to our region. For those of you who are coming in, you're going to experience, I think, one of the most beautiful places in the United States. So let me tell you first a little bit about myself. Juliet Hochman. I have been coaching triathlon for about 8 years. I'm based in Oregon in a town called Hood River, about an hour east of Portland. I am USAT and Ironman certified. And I came into the sport as an athlete initially. My background in sport is actually, I was an Olympic rower in my 20s, and then sort of got on with life and got on with things and discovered triathlon as an age grouper in my 40s, and found out I was pretty good at it. I've won a number of world championships, both at the short course distance, duathlon and triathlon, as well as the 70.3 worlds several times. And immediately discovered that this was just the best sport ever, and made a career out of coaching it. My educational background is Harvard and Stanford, but where I am right now in coaching athletes of all different experiences and all different backgrounds is really the sweet spot in the job I think I've been looking for my entire life. So again, Oregon-based, so know the area well. Obviously, our Oregon 70.3 is coming up in less than 2 weeks, so we'll be featuring there as well. In addition to coaching athletes, I run race-specific clinics. I run a women's bike camp, an online tri club with my peers at Life Sport, etc. So that's a little bit about me. Now let's talk about why you're here. So Tri-Cities, super friendly course for beginners and veterans alike. Okay, it's a small town feel. It's in, we'll talk about sort of its location, but this is a general overview. Small town feel, great restaurants, brew pubs, coffee shops. You're going to like the town. But most importantly, for Ironman's purposes, the town is super excited to host this event. Whenever Ironman has a great partnership with local authorities, it just makes it so much easier in terms of making sure the bike course is safe, making sure potholes are paved over, making sure there's plenty of parking, all of those things. And Richland, Washington is fired up to host this event. So it is a downriver swim, which everyone always really appreciates. It is a rolling bike course, nothing super technical on this bike course. The middle section is through vineyards and wheat farms. It's beautiful. And then you're going to absolutely love the run. It's fast and flat. It's very straightforward, along the river in one direction, turn around and come back. So again, a great race for veterans and newbies. And then if you're staying around in the area, make sure you check out the Chamber of Commerce's site. It's a great place to go hiking, to go biking. There's great vineyards. And if you are a nuclear history wonk, this is your place, because the Hanford reactor is just a little bit north. That's that lovely photograph at the bottom of the slide right there. Okay, so what we're talking about today, we're talking about pre-race, we're talking about race day, and then we're going to go through the swim, the bike, and the run. And hopefully we'll answer the large majority of your questions during the presentation, but I'll also be stopping from time to time to see if there are any additional questions. Okay. Okay. So first of all, where is Richland, Washington? Sort of in the middle of nowhere in eastern Washington. If you're driving there, it's very straightforward, very easy to get there. If you are flying in, you really want to go into the PSC Tri-Cities Airport. The next closest airport is Spokane, and after that, it's Seattle and Portland, which are about 3.5 hours away. In terms of sort of topography, it is what we in the Pacific Northwest call high desert. It's warm out there. It's very dry. The chance of it raining on race day are like 0, so we won't be seeing a repeat of Mont Tremblant from a couple of weeks ago. So be prepared for heat, be prepared for some possible wind, but overall, temperate, good race conditions overall. There's several nice hotels along the course, along the river, which will make transition very easy to access. And as I said earlier, Richland has all the amenities. It has your supermarkets, it has your restaurants, it has bike shops, it has pretty much everything you're going to need for those days around race day. Okay, the lay of the land. So if I can just use my cursor here, this is a pretty good look at what, from a sort of satellite view, how we're looking at the town. So here's downtown Richland, okay? This is the Columbia River going from north to south. Transition, and we'll take a closer look at this in future slides. Transition is this soccer field right here, okay? This is called the Columbia Point Marine Park, and that encompasses this whole area, including this marina. The swim exit, and again, we'll look at this more closely in a moment, is right here. So you're going to be running across Transition to where all the bikes are in this soccer field. Okay, so moving right to left, the swim start is further upriver. It's pretty much a straight shot downstream from the swim start to the swim exit, which is at the second entrance to this marina. Now, I pointed out 2 other landmarks that I want you all to pay attention to, because on race day morning, you will not be allowed to park at Transition, at the Ironman Village. You will be asked to park in one of 2 large lots. One is at the Uptown Shopping Center. The other is at the Federal Building. And those are approximately where these arrows are pointing to in this map. You will be shuttled to Transition, where you will set up your last sort of race preparations, morning race preparations with your bike in Transition. And then we will all walk as one great big happy family of 2,500 athletes upriver to the swim start. It's a little over a mile. Be prepared for that. We'll talk about that more in detail. This is how we do it at Oregon. It's actually a great way to start race morning. So as you can, and then all through this area is restaurants and brew pubs and all the things you might need for anything pre-race. Okay, moving on. The race venue, you have a single transition point at Columbia Point Marine Park. So no worrying about 2 transitions, it's 1 transition, all right? As I already said, there's no parking at Columbia Point Marine Park on race day. I wanna pause for 1 second to point out that there are actually several parks along the Columbia River with the word Columbia in it. So make sure you get yourself to Columbia Point Marine Park. That's where we're going. That's where all the action happens on race day and the days before, the 2 days before. The water temp will be below it'll be wetsuit legal. It'll be in the high 60s. When I went out and swam the course about a month ago in sort of early to mid-June, it was a brisk mid 50s, but still very comfortable. So by the time we get to race day, it's going to be a great temperature for racing. As I already mentioned, there is a shuttle to transition on race day morning, and we'll walk together from transition to the swim start. But the biggest thing that I will beg of you, and I know the Ironman folks are with me on this one, is read the athlete guide. It comes out 30 days. It's not up yet. I checked yesterday, but it comes out 30 days before race day. It will have everything you need to know. It will have details about the race. It will have rules about Ironman racing. It will have information about nutrition. So don't be that athlete who comes on race day morning and doesn't have the answer to all your questions, because they are in the athlete guide. I tell all my athletes, have you read the athlete guide? Make sure you read the athlete guide. So make sure you take a look at it. As I said, it'll be up about 30 days before race day. Okay, so if you can get to the race on at least Friday before a Sunday race, if you can take an extra day of work off, come Thursday. It's a nice town. It's a great place to hang out for a couple days. You'll be more relaxed and stress-free on race day if you give yourself a couple of days, at least one full day, to get everything organized. Triathlons are logistical endeavors, people, all right? I mean, we've got a lot of things to think about here. So don't roll in right before registration closes on Saturday and expect to have a stress-free race. Try to come at least on Friday, if not on Thursday. Best thing you can do, here's some things to do in the days before the race. First of all, learn the flow of transition. Transition can be a very complicated thing, especially for newbies, okay? So go to that swim exit, put your back to the water, and then walk from swim exit all the way to where all of the racks are set up and where your bike will be situated. Ironman is very good about putting your race number on the transition rack. It's not like a local race where you kind of put your bike wherever you want. Okay, at Ironman races, you have an assigned spot for your bike on the transition rack. So walk from swim exit to your bike rack. Walk from your bike rack to bike exit. Turn around, walk back to your bike rack, walk to run exit, so that on race day, you know where you're supposed to go and how transition will flow, all right? You always see athletes who are running around in circles saying, where do I go? Where do I go? Don't be that person. Know the way it's supposed to flow. Go to an athlete briefing, all right? The schedule is not quite up yet, but it will be up in the next couple of weeks. Make sure you know when those athlete briefings are. Like the information in the athlete guide, it will be run by either the race director or one of the members of the Ironman organizing team, and it will give you any updates about new information that is happening for race day itself. Okay, so make sure you go to one of the athlete briefings. They have 2 on Friday and 2 on Saturday. I will be also in the Ironman Village giving mini clinics at the same, either right before or right after those athlete briefings. I will be talking about open water swim strategy, both on Friday and on Saturday. And I will be talking about pacing and nutrition strategy, both on Friday and on Saturday. So come for an athlete briefing, stay for the life sport clinics, which I'll be talking, ask your questions so you'll feel completely ready by Sunday morning. If you decide to do a practice swim, this is completely feasible. That river is wide open. You can go and do a practice swim anytime you want. There's no particular hours for it. Just realize that if you are swimming point to point, you've either got to have a friend bring your shoes back or you've got to figure out something, because you're not going to swim back upriver again to get to where you left your shoes. All right. So in general, it's always safer to swim open water with somebody else. Spend $25 on Amazon getting yourself a visibility buoy, which is a bright colored buoy that blows up and attaches to your waist by a tether so that boats can see you and you can see each other. It also is nice. You can hug it and float down the river if you want to, if you get tired. So make sure you grab a visibility buoy to do those practice swims. You cannot wear them during the race, obviously, but you want it for the practice swim. The river will not be closed to boat traffic in the days before the race. So if you do that practice swim, make sure you can be seen by motorcraft, okay? Now, if you need to do a shakeout ride, the middle of the bike course, the kind of middle 30 miles is your best bet for that. It's beautiful out there, farmland, very quiet roads, terrific road surface. So make your way to the middle of the bike course if you're doing an hour shakeout ride on the Friday or Saturday. It'll be easier than trying to navigate the first or last I'd say 8 to 10 miles of the bike course. The bike course will be marked with orange tape well before you get there, so you won't get lost. You'll know where to go. Riverside Trail, which is where the run is being located, is the perfect place for a shakeout run. It'll be marked with green tape, so just go and explore that. You also have the opportunity, if you like to preview the run course, you can ride your bike on the Riverside Trail. I wouldn't necessarily do it sort of in the middle of the day when you have the most number of baby joggers and pedestrians out there, but you can ride your bike on that trail if you want to preview the run by bike, which is something that I always like to do. A reminder that unlike your local triathlon where you take your bike on race day morning, you have to check in your bike the night before. You cannot bring your bike to transition on race day morning. So go check it in the night before. It's as simple as putting your bike on the rack where your race number is. That's all you do. You don't leave anything else there the day before. All right, I'm going to move on here. So race morning. Now, this is a picture of the athlete walk at 70.3 Oregon. Now, obviously, we don't have a picture yet for 70.3 Tri-Cities because we haven't done the race yet, but this is what it's going to look like, all right? You and 2,800 of your best friends will be walking down to the race to the race start, the swim start on race morning from transition. It's actually a great way to start your day. So we'll talk about that more in a minute. But most importantly, for race morning, have a plan, all right? Know how long it's going to take you to drive to parking. Think ahead about the fact that there's going to be 2,000 cars trying to get into that parking lot or those parking lots on race morning. So give yourself a little bit of extra time, bottle up your patience for when it might be a little bit congested getting into those parking lots, all right? So give yourself time to get to parking, take the shuttle. You should arrive at the venue, meaning transition, an hour before your race, not at parking, not leaving the house an hour before, but getting to the venue an hour before the race. You have some jobs to do. You have to get your nutrition on the bike. You have to get your hydration on the bike. If you use a bike computer, you got to get that on the bike. You got to lay out your transition zone, which is your bike shoes, your bike helmet, your sunglasses, your socks if you wear them, okay? Your running shoes, your race belt, your cap if you wear that for the run. You're going to want to probably check your tire pressure. So all of this takes a little bit of time, remembering that you're navigating around a lot of other athletes. So give yourself the time to do all of these tasks on race day morning, not to mention the bathroom you're going to have to go to 4 times. So give yourself the time on race day morning. You might want to do a little bit of a run warm up. You're also, remembering, going to be walking up to the start, so that'll be a warm up in and of itself. Put your wetsuit on up to the waist, have your cap and goggles. I would also advise taking perhaps a gel and a water bottle, and Ironman will be lining us up right outside transition according to your projected swim time. This is a great picture because you can see it says Ironman 40 to 43 minutes. The one behind that will say 44 to 46 minutes. Okay, so figure out how long it's going to take you to swim a regular Ironman course, not one with a downriver swim. Don't game the system. Whatever you project, it will take you to swim a regular Ironman course in a lake. That's the people you want to be with as you're marching from transition up to the race start. Okay. Ironman, for your shoes and anything else you might want to carry with you up to the swim start, Ironman will be giving you a bag called race clothing bag or morning race clothes or something like that. It'll say on it morning, okay? When you get up to the swim start, there will be a big truck there, and you can hand that bag with your shoes and anything else that you carried with you that you aren't going to swim with to the volunteers. They will truck it back to the Ironman Village for you. Now, it will not get there in time for your race. It will not get there in time for your bike or your run. So make sure that whatever goes into that bag at the swim start is not something you need until the end of the race. Basically, people, all it's going to be is whatever shoes are on your feet to walk up to the swim start. You don't need anything else. So that will be up at race, the swim start. You can wear your heart rate strap if you wear one underneath your wetsuit. It's okay if it gets wet. Not something you have to do in transition. That's a question that kind of oddly always comes up. As I said before, remember, you at this point will probably have had breakfast 3 hours before your race start. So you're going to want to top up the tank a little bit. So maybe take a bar or a gel with some water to chase it as you walk down to the race start, to have a little bit to top up the sugar supplies in your body before you start the race. And you take the opportunity to look around you and to talk. It's going to be a beautiful morning. It'll be dawn. Race starts right before the sun officially comes up. And you're there with 2,500 other people, many of whom are probably pretty nervous. So chat with people, find out where they come from. You've got 20 minutes walking up to the start to get to know people around you. So enjoy that time. The race starts at 6:30 a.m. sharp. Looking at Google is telling us that the sun is coming up at 6:45. So you will be walking up there as the sun is coming over the horizon. On that note, remember, you might want to take a headlight to transition in the morning. It's a lot easier to do all of those race morning tasks if you've got a headlight on rather than doing them in the dark. So pro tip there. Okay. Before I move on to the swim, do you want to bring any questions forward, or are we good for right now?
We just have some logistical questions about parking and where spectators can view, et cetera. But I think that those are going to come out in the athlete guide and in the schedule, because some of those details with shuttles, et cetera, are still being worked out. So just want to let everyone know that. Yeah.
Great. Thanks, Meg. Yeah, this is not the only race that requires athletes to shuttle to transition. Victoria does this too. There's a number of races that do this. The biggest thing you can do is just give yourself enough time to do it, okay? And again, all the details of the parking locations will be in the athlete guide. In terms of watching the watching the races, what I always tell my athletes is, if your family wants to get up that early to watch you jump into the water, God bless them. That's great. Have them do that. But then it is basically, they can cheer you through transition. They have to figure out a way to get to transition, okay? But the best thing is to have them go back to bed, get up and have a good breakfast, get caffeinated, and then come out and watch you on the run course. This run course is great. You can access this riverfront trail from a number of different places. So that would be a really good place for friends and family to go back to bed, get up, have breakfast, and then come see you on the run course. Because think about it. If they see you on the bike course, it'll be like, hey, right? I mean, they can't really cheer you. So it's up to each individual, but just think about, that a little bit in terms of your family's enjoyment of the day as well. Okay, Tri-City Swim. So we will be getting in, again, if I can use my cursor for a second, here's that Columbia Point Marine Park down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen, okay? We will be setting up our transition zone there in the morning. We'll then be walking along this riverfront path, walk all the way up to Howard Amon Park. And this is where, if you do the practice swim, you're going to want to get in the days before, okay? I'll show you pictures in a minute, but it's fairly straightforward downriver swim. Ironman will have its iconic red buoys all along the swim. In general, they do them every 100 meters. It depends a little bit on the current and all of that, but in general, they're every 100 meters. You're going to want to swim between the buoys and the shore. All right, so if you can think of a direct line of sight between the buoys and the shore, you don't have to hug the buoys, you don't have to hug the shore, just let yourself go down between the buoys and the shore, okay? The only tricky part, if you're sighting exclusively off the shore, is keep in mind that you have a couple of inlets, like right here. Obviously, you don't want to pull in and pull out again. And right here, if you're too close to the shore at this first marina exit, I made this mistake when I was doing the swim because I was hugging the shore a little bit too much. It is a little bit pebbly and rocky, not like sharp rocks, but smooth rocks underneath here. And it's too shallow to get a full swim stroke. So this first marina exit is, there's a line, a rope across it. You actually can't swim in there. So there will be no mistake there. But just keep in mind that it's a little bit pebbly right here. Once you pass that first marina exit, you're going to want to hug this shore a little bit because you're going to take a right-hand turn, and this last stretch is maybe 50 meters to get across to the beach. Okay, so very straightforward swim, and I'll talk about that a little bit more on the next two slides. Okay, so this is a picture of the swim start. This is looking downriver. This is the Howard Amon dock. Now, when we are there racing on race day morning, this great big boat will be on the dock. So this is looking downriver. This is looking upriver. Ironman will be putting us in off the beach right here. So the dock is upstream from us. and will be floating us down the river in this direction. And I mean, the swim exit is sort of right about here. So again, it's a nice straight shot. It's a fine on your feet getting into the water. It's kind of little tiny river rock pedals. It's not sharp. It'll be completely fine getting into the water. It drops off fairly quickly, which is fine. You want that. And you'll be in the flow of the river almost immediately. So again, this is a sign you want to look for, the Howard Amon Park, if you decide to do the swim in the days before the race. And this is what it will look like on race day morning, just darker. Okay. As I've already said, the buoys are on the left as you come down the course. The bottom of the river and the bank are very well graded. I could see it as I was doing the test swim about a month ago. You can just see they've just engineered sort of great big river rock to hold the bank in place. You're going to want to sight the bank to your right as well as the buoys to your left. When I did the swim very early in the morning, around the same time as the race start, the sun was not a factor. For those of you who are familiar with 70.3 Oregon, the sun is right in your face. You can't see a thing as you swim downriver. I don't think that's going to be a problem. I don't think the sun is going to swing around so much that it's going to be right in our face. But if you want to be sure of it, to go to a practice swim at 6:30 in the morning, either on the Friday or on the Saturday, and then you'll know for sure. But I don't think it's going to be a big factor. You can see the volume of water in the current on the bottom. So you can see that there is a current. But again, for those of you who are familiar with 70.3 Oregon, it is nothing like that. It is not a flume ride. It will assist. Your times will be faster than they are in a lake swim, but it is not, you know, if you swim a 35-minute usually in a lake and you're swimming 20 minutes at Oregon, it's not going to be that fast, but it will be an assist, which is nice. So some sort of pro tips for the swim. Remember that every time you lift your head to sight, your legs are going down and you're becoming a motorboat with an anchor going through the water. So what I always tell my athletes is if you can see caps to your left and if you can see caps to your right, just keep your head down and swim. Get in the school of fish and swim. Don't worry about lifting your head every 5 strokes to see if you are going in the right direction. If you can see caps to your left and caps to your right, you're all going in the right direction. So keep your head down and swim. Keep your stroke rate up. If you are a little bit of a more experienced swimmer, drafting will still be a factor in a downriver swim. So if you can find some feet or find someone's hip, get on it and stay on it. It will help you out. After that first marina entrance, as I showed you on the map, you're going to want to hug the shore a little bit so that you can make a nice smooth corner across. It's actually not 100 meters. It's more like 50 across this section. So here's where we turn the corner right here around this berm. And then we're just swimming across to here. These buoys will be gone. You're getting up on this beach and running to transition. Okay. So transition. Here is that corner, top left-hand corner of this photograph. Here's that corner you're turning, coming up on this beach. Stand up, give yourself a moment when you go from horizontal to vertical. Sometimes you can get a little bit of a head rush, okay? Congratulate yourself, done with the swim. Get your goggles up on your head so that you can see, and then make your way, whether you jog or run or sprint, it's completely up to you, across this grassy area and into this soccer field, which is where all the bikes will be located. As you are making your way through transition, towards transition, you're pulling your wetsuit down so that the arms are flapping around the waist. So that by the time you get to your bike, you are ready to take that wetsuit off. Now, we talked a minute ago about understanding the flow of transition. When you do that the day before the race, which now I know all of you will do, you will memorize the row number that your bike is located in. Ironman does a great job marking the rows, A, B, C, D, E, etc. So all you have to remember is my bike is in row P, okay? Then count the number of stanchions, okay? The transition racks are set up with these X-like stanchions between each rack. So your bike may be past the 4th X, the 4th stanchion. So all you have to remember when you stand up and you start running is P4, row P, stanchion 4. Now, the reason this is important, people, is your IQ will be half of its normal brilliance in T1. Your heart rate will be the highest it is all day in T1 because you have now gone from horizontal to vertical and you are running 2, and you're so excited to be through the swim and getting onto the bike that you will enter T1 and you will be the world's greatest idiot. You will not be able to remember where your bike is. You will not remember the order of operations in terms of getting your wetsuit off, getting your other things on. So at least do yourself the favor of memorizing the where your bike is, P4 or whatever it is. Make sure you know where your bike is. Okay, I'll end that little lecture there. As you are making your way towards transition, visualize the order of operations that you're going to do. This is not complicated, okay? You're taking off your wetsuit, you're putting on your socks and your bike shoes, you're putting on your helmet. It has to be snapped, it has to be fastened before you touch your bike. That is a rule across all triathlons everywhere. So don't touch your bike until your helmet is on your head and fastened, and you're putting your sunglasses on. Socks, shoes, helmet, glasses. Socks, shoes, helmet, glasses. Okay? Then you take your bike, you're running out to the exit of T1, which if we're going now to the bottom right-hand corner of our screen, the bike exit is on this corner. The mount line will be approximately where the second tree is. Okay? So that is the mount line. You may not get on your bike until after both of your wheels cross the mount line. So cross the mount line, get on your bike, and get out of Dodge. Now, here's what I'm going to ask you about the mount line. I stand at the mount line at 70.3 Victoria every year, and I'm pulling my hair out because here's what I see. Athletes are coming to the mount line. They've got nutrition in one hand. They've got their bike computer in the other hand. They're just a total cluster, all right? You don't need to eat in transition. Make sure your bike computer is set up ahead of time. Make sure that all your clothes are all set before you even touch your bike. When you get to the mount line, get on your bike and go, because you've got 2,000 athletes behind you who are all trying to do the same thing. So you can practice this at home. Pick a crack on the sidewalk and practice getting on your bike and getting off your bike. So practice this, all right? Know the mountain line location. This is something you're going to want to look for in the 2 days or day before the race so you know where you are. And as I said, no eating, no fiddling, get in or get on and get out, all right? And then just keep your transition area simple. A lot of people ask about transitions. You don't need to eat in transition. You don't need to put on extra sunscreen. You've already done that. You did that before the race in the morning. You don't need 3 pairs of goggles or an extra jacket or something. You don't need a latte. You don't need a hot dog. You don't need those things in transition. You only need a few things. So the simpler you keep your transition area, the more clearly you will be able to think and the less stressful your race day will be. All right, lecture over. Moving on. The bike course. So here's the great news about the bike course. And here's something you should know. Our race director for this, Brian Mays, is not only the race director for 70.3 Tri-Cities, but he's in charge of safety for all the bike courses on all the 70.3s across the United States. So he is like the bike course expert. So great to have him on the team for this one. There will be a designated bike lane for 95% of the course. So it's practically a closed course. So we will get half of the road and it'll be coned off. So we won't be mixing with cars for most of this course, which is fantastic. So it'll be nice and safe. Now, the first and the last 10 miles do run us through commercial and residential streets with multiple turns. So keep your head up, look, make sure you know where those corners are, make sure that you are paying attention to our volunteers and our marshals so that you know where to go as we make our way out of Richland. We'll look at a map on the next slide. The middle 30 miles, as I already mentioned, I pre-rode this course in June. The middle 30 miles is wheat farms and vineyards. You have long straight stretches. It's a great opportunity to get aero. Plan, look at the map ahead of time, do some thinking about where you're going to be doing your eating and drinking. All right, especially at the very beginning and at the very end where you have to navigate perhaps a few more turns, probably not the safest place to eat and drink. So take a look at the map and do some thinking about where you're going to be doing your eating and drinking. Okay. Aid stations are at miles 17, 30, and 45. There's 1,900 feet of elevation gain, and I know that they don't have a map of the elevation gain on the website yet. So I took a screenshot of my Strava elevation map, and that's what you can see along the bottom there. All right, so that's what it looks like. Nothing particularly, no huge hill, right, on this course that you, like everybody worries about the huge hill. There are, however, 2 climbs I would like to flag and 2 descents I would like to flag. The first climb is at the 5-mile mark. That's down on the elevation map down here. That's right about here. It only lasts about a mile, but it's a little bit a first insult, if you know what I mean, because you're like, oh, okay, I'm biking now. So just know at about 5 miles, you've got this first climb right here. The second climb is a little bit more significant. It's at about the 10-mile mark. It lasts about 2 miles. And then you're like, okay, no, this is a real hill. This is for real. And that lasts about 2 miles, as I said, but the average grade of both of these climbs is less than 5%. Now, there may be parts of it that are more like 8%, but nothing huge, nothing scary, nothing you have to get your bike off your bike for. So just know that those both happen in the first part of the course. These hills back here, I don't even really remember them from riding. There's nothing particularly significant in here you have to worry about. Now, there are two descents that I would like to flag. The first is called Sage Hill. It's at 14.5 miles. So it's this descent right here. Okay. On this map over here, it's this part of the map on the Ironman map. All right. Now, this is exciting because it's just under a mile long, and it only takes about 90 seconds. It's very fast. And you can see the sign that says 10 miles an hour, because at the bottom, there is a sharp 90-degree turn at the bottom. So there will be Ironman people there waving flags and blowing horns and telling you to slow down. There's no way that you will not know about this descent on race day. On the day that I was previewing the course, it was an epically windy day, apparently very unusual, so don't worry about that. At this particular point, the wind was behind me, and I think I hit almost 50 miles an hour going down this hill. So be very careful going down this hill. Slow down well before the turn. Pay attention to the volunteers. They're telling you to slow down for a reason. Know that it is short and sharp, and there is a 90-degree turn at the bottom. Okay, so 14.5 miles. Look out for that one. It's also pretty fun if you like to ride your bike fast. Okay, then the second one to look at is at about 36 miles, which is right here. Okay, you're going from Jacobs Road onto Dallas Road, and it's not particularly steep. It's a hard left through an intersection onto a road which then goes underneath the highway. Again, there will be plenty of Ironman volunteers telling you to slow down. Pay attention to the volunteers. These are not the 2 moments in the course to pick up your extra 5 seconds. So just pay attention to that. Other than that, it's particularly in the middle of the course, there are some long, straight stretches. Great place to get into aero if you've got a TT bike, to get low, to stay in that nice aerodynamic position. I found them a little bit mentally taxing when I was pre-riding, but that's only because on that day they were going straight into the wind, and it was a very windy day. I don't think it's going to be that much of an issue. It might actually be a little bit of a relief because you can kind of settle in after the first 10 miles or so of the course, which wind through, as I said, the residential and commercial areas. Okay. Get aero, baby. This is a great course for being fast and flat. Get your calories in while you're on the bike. In general, your heart rate is about 10 beats lower on the bike than it is when you're running. So think of the bike as a rolling buffet, okay? You want to be getting in at least 250 calories an hour in the form of things that are easily chewable. So that might be gels or blocks or bars if you can manage it, and you want to be chasing that with at least a bottle an hour of either water or electrolytes. All right, so get your nutrition in on the bike. You can be smooth and relaxed, particularly through the middle section of this course. Make sure you're riding to your heart rate, to your power if you have a power meter. There will be people coming past you, and you will also be passing people. But remember, this is a TT effort, okay? It doesn't really matter what the rest of the people are doing because this is an individual effort. There is no drafting in Ironman races. So ride to your abilities, your technical sufficiencies, your power, your heart rate, your perceived effort. It should feel like about a 6 out of 10 perceived effort. So you're not hammering for 56 miles here, okay? It's zone 3. So ride to your own race. Keep the pressure on the pedals, whether you're flat, climbing, descending. You want nice, smooth pedal stroke. The less punchy your race is, your bike ride is, the more effective you will be on the run. So a very consistent effort across these, whatever it is for you, 2.5, 3.5, 4 hours, okay? Something you can do between now and then is you can practice longer race pace efforts. We call them tempo efforts. In your training, you can start doing increased number of minutes at your 70.3 projected power, heart rate, or perceived effort. You can adjust to that TT position if you haven't already, if you're planning to be on a TT bike or with clip-ons on your road bike. You can practice eating in the aero position, so you're not standing up or sitting up every single time you're eating. And you can practice bottle grabs. If you are planning to use the 3 aid stations on this course and you are, let's just think about this. So if you're supposed to have a bottle an hour and you're going to be out there for 3.5 hours, that means you need 3.5 bottles. Now, you may only be able to carry 2 bottles on your bike. So what that means is at one of those aid stations, you're going to have to toss one of your bottles. You're going to have to grab another bottle, a new bottle from one of our friendly volunteers, and you're going to have to put it in your bottle holder. All right. Get your kid or your spouse or partner or the neighbor's kid to stand out there on your street holding a water bottle and practice riding by that person and taking the water bottle from them. I guarantee you the first 3 times you do it, you will drop the bottle because you will be going too fast. You have to slow way down. You have to safely take that bottle. You have to navigate bottles that other people have dropped on the course. The volunteers are really good about playing Frogger and running out to get them, but still, you have to keep your head up. So just practice that. It's kind of fun. And the neighbor's kid is going to love practicing this with you. Practice bottle grabs before race day. Okay. Let me pause there for 1 second to remind you or to tell people who are new to Ironman that every single Ironman bike station and run station is identical in that the order of nutrition that they offer you is always water, mortal hydration. It was Gatorade. Now it's mortal hydration, which is an electrolyte, not a carb drink. Nutrition, which will be gels on the bike and several other things on the run. Mortal hydration, water. Water, mortal hydration, nutrition, mortal hydration, water. All right. That's always the order. So think about what you want when you're going through that aid station. Look at the volunteer that you're going to grab the bottle from. Make eye contact. You can even say, I'm coming for you, right? Take the bottle safely, get back out into the flow of traffic, of bike traffic, and be on your way. Okay, so something definitely you can practice before race day. Okay, T2, here's the same map as we had as T1. You are coming in the same way that you went out down here by this mountain line. You have to dismount before the mountain line. Don't let your wheels cross the mountain line. The Ironman people will either give you a penalty or shake their finger at you. So make sure that you get off your bike and don't come in at 30 miles an hour and expect to be able to stop safely. Slow way down before you get to the mountain line. Get off your bike, push your bike into transition. You're going back to your bike spot. And now you are running out. Run out is on the opposite side of where you took your bike in and out. Okay. So you're over here. And this yellow line tells you the bike run, the run course as we go out. We cross the parking lot. And then for the first mile, we actually rejoin the bike route. And for the first mile, the bike route and the run route share the road. And it'll actually be kind of fun. As you come in on the bike, you'll see runners heading out. So there'll be a little bit of bikes and running. They'll be separated, but you'll see each other on the course. And then about a mile in, the bike then run route separate, and the run route goes to the river, and the bike route, as we said, goes a different direction. It's a short run to your spot. Be intentional. Very simple. 1, 2, 3. Shoes, belt, cap. Okay, you're putting on your running shoes. You're grabbing your race belt. If you don't know what a race belt is, go on Amazon and get one. They're $20. It's a piece of elastic that you attach your number to because you don't want to be sitting in T2 putting your race number on your T-shirt with safety pins, right? So go buy a race belt. You'll only need one for your entire triathlon career. So shoes, belt. If you wear cap, cap. Very simple. Keep it simple. If you are using your own nutrition and not using the nutrition on the course, a good place to put it is in your shoe. So you can grab it, shove it in your pockets as you head out of transition. As you run out of T2, your legs will not feel great. That's why we call them brick runs. It'll take you probably a few minutes to get your legs under you. Bring your cadence up right away. Bring your cadence up as you run out of T2. Cadence will always drive pace. So get your feet moving, light contact on the ground. Get yourself to whatever your race pace is for your run. And the biggest mistake we often see people make as they run out of T2 is they're so psyched to be out of the swim and out of the bike. They just have to do the run that they run way too fast the first couple of miles. Totally happened to me my first 70.3. So you feel like $1,000,000. You're so stoked to be out there. You're out there, and then you get to mile 3. and you're suddenly not running as fast. And then you get to mile 8 and you're running a lot slower. So whatever your pace expectations are for your race, have a little bit of a pace ceiling for that first couple of miles and try to respect it, because oftentimes people do run too quickly off the bike. Okay, on from T2. So the run, very straightforward, flat, fast, fun, beautiful. I'll show you some photos of it in a minute. Here's the Ironman map side by side. Again, we come out of transition. I'm working on the bottom right-hand corner of my screen here. We share that bike course for this first part, and then we loop back, the runners loop back to the riverfront trail, and then we're just heading upriver. The river, we'll see the river the entire time until the very top of the course up here. Now, I just want to point out that at a couple of times during the run, the outbound runners and the returning runners split. You can almost see each other. You can see each other almost the entire time, but we do split, and you can see that represented on both of these maps here. That the course splits a little bit to sort of bring traffic down a little bit on these narrower run paths. The entire trail is paved. There's no gravel anywhere on this. There's no cars. After that first mile, which you share with the bike course, you won't see a single car. There's some shade, but there's also quite a lot of exposure. So we'll talk about staying cool in a minute, but you want to think about cooling strategies throughout this. It'll be hot and dry. As I mentioned, the path splits on the back half of the course. Now, that is really only relevant if you are racing this event to compete, because if you're looking for people, for perhaps people in your age group that you're competing against, you may lose sight of them if they're coming back and you're running out. So just keep that in mind if you're a competitor, not a completer, okay? This is a multi-use path. Now, the city of Richland has graciously agreed to close all of the parking lots along that access the riverfront path. So there will be fewer people on the path, but we will still have, probably some people who are walking, jogging, who are not part of the race. So just keep your head up and look out for those people. You'll still have plenty of room to move around people. For those of you who've done 70.3 Victoria, where that path gets super narrow going around the lake, it won't be like that. There's a lot more space than that. The turnaround at the top of the course is at the ingredient factory. I had to look up ingredient. They make food additives. It's at the very top of the course. The Ironman has to do a little distance grab right here at the top of the course to make sure we get our full half marathon. So you'll come out on the land side, if you will. After you go through the university, you'll do this little out and back, and then you will quickly get back to the bucolic Riverside Trail and run all your way back. So ignore the ingredient factory and just keep running. The finish approach is beautiful. You're going to be coming along the marina here. You'll hear the crowd before you see them. There's a beautiful backdrop with the mountains. It's going to be a really pretty finish area. It's basically flat, as you can see from the elevation map at the top here. There's just not a whole lot to talk about in terms of little hills or descents or climbs. Okay. On the course, there'll be 10 aid stations, because there's five aid stations, but you're going to see them 10 times, if you see what I mean, because it's an out and back. They'll have water, mortal hydration, cola, both types of Morton gels. Remembering these are 100 calories each. That's why they're called gel 100s or calf 100s. Remember, the black ones don't have caffeine. The white ones do have caffeine. So know what you're taking. You probably don't want to have 5 caffeinated gels in a row. So keep that in mind. There'll also be fig bars, chips, pretzels, bananas, oranges. This is typical Ironman fare for the run aid stations. This is a good depiction of the course. Beautiful pavement, totally flat, gorgeous views of the Columbia. This is an example of where the trail splits. You can see, this will be the outbound, this will be the returning. Sometimes the two trails are this close, sometimes they're a little farther apart. So again, there will be times when you don't always see the athletes going in the other direction. When you get to the cougar statue up at the university at the very northern end, the very back end of the course, you'll know that you're almost at the turnaround, so look out for the coug. And just after this, you go to that little distance grab we talked about by the ingredient factory, and you'll then be turning around and making your way home. All right, visualize yourself running down that red carpet. Congratulations. It's an incredible accomplishment to finish a 70.3, regardless of if you are a first timer or you've done 100 of these. You will see me at the Ironman Village on Friday and Saturday. I'll be giving these clinics that I mentioned before about pacing and nutrition and open water swim strategy. I'll also be hanging out with our team of athletes there. We should have about 15 people racing. So make sure you come and ask questions. Happy to answer anything you got. And be in touch between now and then. You can email me at juliet@lifesportcoaching.com. You can find me on Instagram. In the chat, I believe Meg put a link to a free coaching call. I'm happy to answer any additional questions you have about this course, about any of your other 70.3 plans for this year. And then finally, I am hosting a live pre-race clinic in Richland on August 24th. We're going to swim the course. We're going to bike some of it. We're going to run some of the run course. We're going to talk about pacing and nutrition. We're going to practice transitions. So if you're in the area or if you'd like to make a weekend out of it, you can sign up on the lifesportcoaching.com website. So this Miss Tamale Mexican restaurant, I'll give it a free shout out, is it just before the end of the bike course. You don't want to stop there during the bike, but perhaps after the race, it's a great place to get some chow. So that's all I've got. I'm going to stop sharing and see if Meg has, or any of the rest of our team, Tim has any questions that any of us can answer. So are there any questions? Meg, you're in control again.
The only question that I think would be good to answer is about the swim course, as far as the buoys and how close you need to swim to shore, and whether you'll be restricted to swimming right next to shore if you can go out a bit.
I believe Tim might be able to address this better than I can, but I believe that if you can you will not be that restricted. The buoys will be far enough out into the river that you'll have plenty of space between the shore and the buoys. You don't want to go on the outside of the buoys. You want to just draw a straight line, leaving the buoys on your left and the shore on your right. Tim, do you have anything additional to add to that?
Nope. You hit the nail on the head. Thank you.
Okay. And there's not, with the exception of if you get too close to that first marina exit, you will not touch the bottom. It's plenty deep. So as long as you're not right on the shore at that first marina or entrance, which there's no reason you should be, your arms aren't going to touch anything. There's no weeds. It's a great swim. It's beautiful.
And then we have a couple of questions just about how fast the current is. I think you addressed this, but maybe you can go over it again.
Sure. I'm not sure how to quantify that answer. So if you're familiar with 70.3 Oregon, it is nothing like that. So you can float. I swam 70.3 Oregon, the course, about 2 weeks ago, and I floated down in 30 minutes. So it's nothing like that. I do think that you will find that your times will be faster than if you were in a lake swim, for example. That depends a little bit on you as an individual athlete. There is a current assist, but you will notice it as you get in and you look at the bottom, because you can see the water moving across the rocks on the bottom. But other than that, it's not as if you are in a flume ride at at Disney World or something like that. It's you will have a faster time, but it is nothing to be scared of. And it will give you a little bit of a boost more than anything else.
Great. And this question just came in. It's probably more for Tim. Is there a place to change clothes in transition? And if not, can you change under a towel?
Great question. Most athletes generally change under a towel, and that's fine. But Ironman races will have a pop-up 10x10 tent with sidewalls that athletes are more than welcome to use on a one-on-one basis.
I'll address that too, Meg. I mean, honestly, gang, do yourself the favor of buying yourself at least tri-shorts, okay? If not a full tri-suit top and bottom, you can get them in 2 pieces or in 1 piece. You swim with that under your wetsuit. Tri-shorts have a very light chamois. They're not like a bike short, so it doesn't feel like you're biking with a diaper, okay? It dries very, very quickly. So there's no reason to change unless there's something that I'm not aware of. You should be able to wear the same clothes for swim and bike and run very comfortably. Now, if tri-shorts is the only thing you want to get right now, as you pull off your wetsuit in T1, put on a shirt. Then you're set for the bike and for the run. Okay, but it shouldn't be necessary to change if you are willing to invest in either a tri-suit or at least tri-shorts.
And then as far as a wetsuit, will it be warm enough to go without a wetsuit, or is it recommended to wear one?
General rule of thumb, if you can wear a wetsuit, if it's legal to wear a wetsuit in terms of the temperature range, wear a wetsuit because it's always faster. It not only offers you warmth, if that's important, but more importantly, it offers you flotation and it brings your backside up, which means you're more hydrodynamic and you will always go faster in a wetsuit. So if it's legal to wear a wetsuit in terms of water temperatures, wear a wetsuit. Will you be comfortable without one if you absolutely insist on not wearing one? Yes, you'll be fine temperature-wise without it. But even in local sprint races, if you can wear a wetsuit, wear a wetsuit.
Perfect. This question's about the bike. As if you get a flat, what kind of support can you expect? And also, if this course susceptible to flats, or is it pretty smooth and safe as far as that?
I'll let Tim come in on this as well, but I'll add my 2 cents. The bike course is amazing. Like I didn't see a single pothole out there. It is so great. The road surface is beautiful. It has a little bit of that Northwest sort of chip seal that we get in this part of the country, but it's still fine. No potholes, no huge cracks, no frost heaves. You're going to be fine. So if you do get unlucky enough to have a flat, if you're close to an aid station, either double back and get to the aid station or move ahead to the aid station. If you are not, because there will be tech support there. If you are not close to an aid station, I was just talking to an athlete about this morning. The idea of Ironman races is that you are self-sufficient. So you should know how to change a flat before you go to Richland or to any race. All right. You cannot legally accept help from a bystander, from your dad, from your wife or husband or whatever. Okay. You have to be able to, you have to have all the equipment necessary to change it by yourself. However, there is technical support. They will come and help. You just might have to wait for it. So what you can do is get started, like start changing the wheel. And then if technical support is in your area, they're going to come by, they're going to see you, and they're going to help you out. Would you say, Tim, that's a fairly accurate description of what to do about flats?
Absolutely. I think I typed that up almost word by word that you said. Always plan to self-support, no matter what. Know how to change a flat, know how to tweak your derailleur if needed. Plan on self-supporting. If there's something you can't fix on your own, as Juliet had mentioned, we do have bike techs that roam the course, but depending on where they might be, it might take some time for them to get to you. So yeah, always plan to know how to fix your bike.
Now, I know a lot of you share a similar challenge that I do. I'm just going to put it out there, is sometimes getting that tire back onto the frame is really hard, right? Particularly if you have small hands. Sometimes it's harder for women than for men. Speaking generally, it's hard to get that back on, but at least get started, right? Get started, get the old tube out, take your wheel off, get the old tube out, put the new one in, get started so that when the tech comes along, all that tech has to do is help you get that tire all the way onto the rim, put it back on your bike, and you've just saved a lot of time. Okay, so that would be my advice on flats.
I think
Megan,
I think we're good. Yeah, okay. I think that's it.
Right. Awesome. All right. Well, thank you so much again, everybody, for joining us. It's been great partnering with Ironman on these. Get fired up for a really good race. It's going to be super fun. I will see you there. Come find me. Meg, you'll probably be there too, right?
I will be there in the marketing booth. You'll see me on the course.
Fantastic. All right.
And also, this webinar will be recorded or has been recorded, and I think you will get automatically be sent it via email, but it will also be on our event website on the athletes page. And I will also be posting on Facebook in the next few days.
Thanks so much, Meg.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye-bye.